Welcome everyone, and we are really grateful that you joined us today, especially as it's Sunday morning. We haven't been doing a programming on Sunday, but it's actually a wonderful, beautiful day here in California, and it's sunny. And we're joined by Barnabás Tóth, who is joining us from Hungary right now to speak about his film. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think what I'll do today is I will start off with a few questions. And for everybody who has not joined us before, you are very welcome to ask questions yourself by typing them in the chat section. So at the very bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll find a box that says chat. And please feel free throughout the conversation to enter your questions there. And what I will be doing is monitoring them and giving them to Barna so that we can move forward in that way. So without further ado, the film is Those Who Remained, a beautiful film of post-World War II Hungary. I wanted to ask you, first of all, a little bit of background behind this project before we delve into it. I understand that it was based off of a book that was written in 2004. And I tried to find out some information about it and I wasn't really successful. And I was wondering how you could tell us about your discovery of the book and how it came to be.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's not translated. It is translated into English, but it's not published yet. The author is actually searching for a publisher. So if you know an editing house or some publisher, you know, the text is ready. I have it on as a Word document. I can even send you, Irene, if somebody is interested to read it.
Wow.
It's a Word document, yeah. And I'm allowed by the author because yeah, that's a reason. You know, so okay, yes, so her name is Zsuzsa F. Várkonyi. She's 73, 74. She's a psychologist, and that's her only fictional book. She wrote a lot of books about psychology. She's quite well known. She has a radio show in Hungary. She appears on stage, and I know her from theater project. She was there on stage as a psychologist. I was there as an improvisational actor on stage. So we worked for years together. And one day she says, yeah, I have this one book, you know, I wrote. If you are interested, just read it. But she gave it to me as a friend, not as a filmmaker. And I read it, and I was really taken by these two wonderful characters and these rich dialogues and the complexity of the relation. So I thought that's a perfect piece of adaptation or material to adopt because it's intimate, it's a chamber drama, you need an apartment and two great actors, basically.
And was there any, was it based on a true story, or how was she introduced to the idea herself? What was the background behind thinking about people who remained?
She is of Jewish origin from both parents. She has 30 members lost during Holocaust, 30. Imagine a family. If you take all the cousins and relatives, she counted one day. And but a doctor like this and Clara never existed, such as Aldo and Clara. They are both a kind of mixture from her family. And I think there is a great part in Clara of her. Even there is an age difference, like 15 years between them. Clara would be older, but I think she's quite similar. She speaks German like this. She plays piano. She's a bit like Clara, actually.
I see. So no, I can't believe that this hasn't been published. It sounds like an incredible book. So thank you for letting us know, and we'll definitely tell the community about that.
Okay,
it deserves to be read. So thank you. I wanted to ask, you are also the co-writer, correct? You created the script and you directed it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the process of writing this. And I know that this is your second feature film. You're both a writer and a director. How did that come to be? How do you collaborate in such a thing?
I love writing. I have many original ideas, and usually my films are my own original ideas. I don't think they are better than other people's. I just think I'm the best person to put them on picture if there is somebody to make it. I consider myself as a director, but sometimes with ideas. But sometimes I take adoptions, but it's very hard to, if the book is good, that's a reason. that's why it's hard to do it. And if the book is bad, then that's why it's hard. So it's always hard to put literature on screen, I think. And I was in trouble with this one as well. I wrote a draft myself, maybe even 2 drafts of screenplay out of the novel, but something was missing, especially from the ending. I didn't know why. I think I was too faithful to the original story, where they both kind of finished the story as happy persons, living with a new partner, starting almost like a new life, and it's a complete happy ending in the book. But for me, I think it's much more interesting if you are more subtle or more, I don't know, not sophisticated, more complicated about the ending. I like melodrama a lot. So I was stuck with this draft, and then I had a great producer who advised me, a co-writer, and her name is Clara as well, Clara Muhi, another person. So we finished the book together. She became my co-writer because she had so much input in the story. Like she was the one to find out that Aldo might feel something, deeper and richer for Clara than stepfather, stepdaughter. So all this suspicion of the era and their might be such sexual relationship is their invention. The book is more pure, more clean, more innocent.
I think that's a wonderful thing, that reality that you inject into it, because I think that somebody like the novelist or the writer that you had described would have very pure intentions. But the reality of putting such people together in a room is very different. Yeah, that's very appreciated. And I do have our first question here, but I want to frame it in such a way. What do you feel was the meaning of the end in the film? Why do you think that both the lead characters showed some sadness in the final scene? And just to take a step back, what you said, the book was like a happy ending. But what I want to interject is that there's no such thing as an ending. Life still goes on. There's no going off into the sunset with the 2 partners, but of course it's all loaded. So can you talk a little bit more about this person who asked the question, about Nils, who asked the question about the meaning of the final scene and the sadness there, in the context of also what you changed in order to get that way?
Okay, I will. But I in advance, I want to say as a foreword that I don't want to spoil anybody's own version of the ending or the whole story. So I completely respect if your opinion or your even thoughts about the relationship or the ending of the movie was different. Maybe your one is better than mine. So take it as, one possible ending that I will say. So for me, even though Aldo remains heroically pure and a serious, reliable stepfather, because he's a pure person. For me, he's so gentle, so like a knight, so polite and so disciplined. He's like an angel, a protecting angel almost to Clara. But he's a man, and she gets older and older and more beautiful, and she's there. They could be everything to each other, but he chooses to protect her. He chooses to push her away. He chooses a woman, his ex-patient, just to let Clara get older and free, because it's a paranoid era, this communist regime. They had this bad eye on them. So 3 years pass, and the last scene is after the 3 years, and then he might have discovered that lady, that new partner for her, was a plan B. Their relationship is okay. She's nice. They like each other, but it's not Clara. And Clara has this boyfriend who might take her away, to America. So it's over. I mean, he lost her. The best is like a Sunday grandfather or stepfather, the role for him. And for me, it fills him with sadness. But he always, refuses to talk openly about his feelings. That he's almost crying, but you would never find out, especially Clara. For me, Clara is happy by the end. I mean, she's okay.
I would say, though, isn't that the role of what a parent has anyway? I don't know where I'm staying with this, that it could never be purely happy for Aldo at the end. Is he even capable of it? In any case, we do have a question here about what the author thought of the film and the changes that you made.
Yes. Uh, for when she wrote the script, she was quite upset. Not for the not for the things I have put in, but for the things I have left out, because I had to leave out at almost like half of the book, because the book is long and it's for 3 decades and there are so many things happening with so many people and it's full of Jewish content. The book is full of Jewish holidays, about Auschwitz, ancestors, grandfathers. His father was a rabbi, things about Jewish culture, which I just couldn't and didn't want to put in my movie for several reasons. Not only because I'm not Jewish, so I'm family-wise, I was not affected by the Holocaust. But also I didn't want it to be a movie restricted to Jewish audience, or I didn't want the majority of Hungarians pushed away from this movie just because of it's another movie about Holocaust, because many people are fed up with those kind of movies. So I always wanted to hide the Jewish content in it, because it's a universal story. I mean, grief, trauma, loss, caring about each other, love, solace, these are universal topics.
So we are getting some questions about that, and I wanted to ask in general how the film was received in Hungary.
Sorry, I forgot to finish. So she was upset about the script. Sorry, my previous answer. But she was at the point of, you know, like not using the names of the characters or her name on the final credits. So it was that was that intense. But then I made the movie, and when she saw it, she was very happy. She was really taken by everything which is in the movie. So she's very proud now. But you know, a script is very dry. In the script, there is no music, no faces, no actors, no. So it's like, it's hard to read the script and to see the film. I mean, even filmmakers cannot do it often.
It certainly is beautiful. I can see how somebody would be proud of the finished product, but
so about reception in Hungary, that was the question.
Yes, the reception in Hungary, and also you did say you didn't want the film to be overly Jewish, and I can understand what that means. For me, what was interesting about it is that these characters are clearly Jewish characters, but it's never spoken about. We don't hear them saying Jewish this, Jewish that, Holocaust holidays. It's all about what isn't said. And so I think that it was very skillfully done, that this is very clearly a story of Jewish people.
Yeah, but they both lost their faith for a while. I mean, Clara, you know, she's a teenager, so that her approach to God is completely normal. But they were never Orthodox, her family, never. For Aldo, his father was a rabbi, so he had intense relationship to God and to all the ceremonies and traditions of Jewish thing. But then after losing your wife and 2 kids, your relationship might change towards God, and he kind of loses faith, I think, in God. But slowly Clara returns it, slowly, step by step, a little bit. We can see that he's praying in the kitchen when she's sick. So it's like a crashing plane. Everybody becomes religious on a
So the reception in Hungary when the film came out, how did it do? How do you think Hungarian audiences respond to films about the Holocaust or of Jewish nature, or the film itself? What was your perception of how it was received?
At first it was released in theaters as a theatrical movie. And we had quite a good number, 30,000 only in Budapest, which is not bad for a Hungarian art house film, but mainly elder people and from downtown Budapest, you know. So it's like it didn't reach to a larger population, or it didn't have like a great feedback. And the people who went to see it for money in theaters, they loved it. They really loved it. I mean, yes. So but related to it was, people don't think it as a Holocaust movie too much, I think, because of this. It's not a typical Holocaust movie, you know. Half of it is under the communist regime, so it's complicated to talk about it with my limited English. But people from both sides, from right and left as well, appreciated this movie because of the anti-communist content. And then it was released on TV. and then again, we had good results, but it was not attacked too much. It was not taken on the political or the Jewish content. It was taken on the romantic drama or the period drama side, and I was happy about it. People was talking about the characters and the story, but not the issue which it's bringing up historically or socially.
Interesting. I was heartened to see that you were shortlisted for the Academy Award nomination, correct? For Hungary?
Yes.
Yes, it's an incredible film. I wish that it had done wildly successful. I mean, it is such a subtle, quiet film. We have more questions here, but I have some of my own, so I do want to keep making sure that we ask them. The Communist Party is a tangential thought in the movie. In reality, would the party have played a larger role? And I think that another question related to that is that you said both the right and the left actually were positive about your film because of the anti-communist stance. Can you talk a little bit about the role of portraying the historical Communist Party in Hungarian films is right now, and how that related to how you portrayed it?
There is now this wave of movies because in Hungary, the main supporter is the National Film Institute. It's public money. You don't have private money in cinema. So it's a 5-member committee who decides about what to be shot or about the yearly national production for the next 3 years. It's like communism, communism after all. And now it's heavily politicized because we have this strong government. Know him. We have our local Trump. You just got rid of your Trump, but we still have ours. It's Orban, and he's quite strong about everything, and he's very anti-communist because his political star was born as a big anti-communist speech in '89. So out of 10 movies made in Hungary now, 6 is about the 40s and 50s. So we are almost fed up of this era and period. It's not that important after all, but that was the communist dictatorship, the hardest part around Stalin's death. Before Stalin's death especially, it was like pure terror, real pure terror on the streets. I mean, priests were taken, aristocrats were taken, intellectuals were taken. It was North Korea, not worse, not better than North Korea today. So, it influenced our literature and cinema.
For us here, I feel like we don't know much about that really specific period between World War II and the real onset of communism. And so that period in the late 40s, for us to see how slowly things got worse and worse was very interesting.
Why? I had many screenings in the United States with this movie, and people know a lot about the Nazis and the Holocaust, but very few about the communism. And it was almost the same terror, same numbers. It was not against the Jewish, so it was not a pogrom or a mass murder of a whole nation just because of origin. It was against everybody, against the whole population, anybody. If you didn't agree, you didn't join the party, you didn't, everything was taken away from the people just within 4 years. Land, immobilier, how you call it, like real estate, car, everything was taken. All the companies, every business is shut down. Everything became state-owned. In 4 years, with these devastated people just coming out of the Second World War. Budapest was bombarded by first the Allies and then the Nazis and then the Russians. 3 times bombarded in 1 year. Not one bridge left, not one building left. It was completely like Dresda or Warsaw, a whole city equal ground zero. And after 4 years of this, slowly, step by step, year by year, 46, 47, 48, the Communist Party, supported by Stalin, grew bigger and bigger with violence, with violent means and tools, like completely faking the whole elections and the soldiers voting in every village. Next village, they were voting 10 times, every Russian soldier. So it was cheated and then pure terror by this secret police. You can see in my movie, The Shadows near the neighbor. It went on for years. Anybody on the streets was you know, I could speak longly about it, but it's not, you know, not too joyful.
Wow, we will take a look at that. And I do want to post your previous work as well for our community to see it. We've certainly loved your projects. And we have a lot of questions here from the guests. And so I will go back to that. We have some questions about Aldo and Clara here. The relationship between the older Aldo and the young Clara, wasn't it triggering reactions in audiences? Did you find that there were reactions there? And another question here is that although Clara and Aldo have do not have an improper relationship, why do you think that Clara develops a degree of romantic infatuation with him? So yeah, a couple of questions about them.
Yeah, which was the first question again?
The audiences.
Yes.
Triggering audiences.
Yes. The reaction I got is like, in the first 10-15 minutes, everybody's like, oh no, please don't let it, you know, that they get together or there is any kind of physical thing, because I will hate that movie. I will just stand up and go away. And I completely understand this. So at the end, they are relieved. So that kind of answered the second question, that from her side, he's everything. I mean, she would be ready to marry him the next day, even without knowing what that exactly means or the sexual aspect, because she's naive and nobody told her things like this or explained to her. So she's very romantic. She's a normal teenager. And in the book, even there are scenes like when they are sitting on the couch and she's saying, oh, please show me now how to be a wife. Aldo, show me how to be your good wife. So it was already like almost too much for a movie. And then that's you know, Aldo just discovers that she's spending way too much time with him. And he's jealous at the same time if there is a young boy around him, but also relieved as like a father, classic case of a father for a daughter, I think. But he keeps, you know, at the end, until the end, he remains, passive, inactive.
An incredible character, really. And I personally want to jump in here with a couple of observations of my own. And I don't know much of your other work, so I do apologize that I have gaps in how you do what you do. But something that I loved the most about this film was its subtlety and how things are not overt, that it is so much more about the things that aren't said and that are not overtly shown. Little conversations about foods. You know, like we are never told the word Jewish or Holocaust or camp, you know, you just watch quietly. Little observations. It's almost like a perfect Stanislavski film. You know, it's the shot that's heard somewhere else. What's happening in front of us is what's real and what's going on. And so you don't explain things to the audience. The littlest things tells us so many things. And so I just wanted to, first of all, compliment you on an incredible skill in making that happen. It's everywhere. And also your style and how you made this, how you work with the actors and the choices that you made as both the writer and the director in working in such a difficult way.
I was very lucky with the material and those dialogues. It's, you know, it's not even I like subtle things, as you say. I like when it's not too much and you can use your own imagination and you put the story together in your mind, and I just have to fill in the little everyday gaps to show, like, you know, with the soups or things like this. And the horror happened before, and I don't have to show the camps and the trains and the prisoners anymore, because we know so much about it. It's enough to show at the 10th minute just this number, and you get the whole idea about his past. So it's hard to find out a picture like this, because in the book it's not like this. You can imagine she had all the possibilities to write about the past as you are a writer. You have the words and it's free. With the picture and the music and the dialogue, you are much more limited, because if you say everything out loud, it becomes just too much and cheesy or too deductive, or so. Yeah, so it's hard. But everything was there. I like also these fine things that which are not said. And those actors, I like when acting is natural. I like when it's not too much. For him, I just had to ask to be a bit slower and to be a bit you know, old and tired, because he's 42 in life. He's like me. He's energetic. He has this fresh hair, bearded. So I had to older him a lot with some gray hair and with this light, I don't know how you call it, the veins, the little red veins in your nose.
Yes,
and
the little red lines. Yes, the
red
capillary.
lines, brown spots like this to age him. And that he was ready. Never I had to, you know, instruct him up during the whole entire shooting. For Clara, it was a bit different because she's young, she's not very experienced, and her part was harder because she has to be everything between 16 and 21, between gentle and kind and aggressive, boyish, girlish. She has to be a diva, but also an old lady sometimes. Like in the film, they say she can be anything between 5 and 7.
Wow.
So we had to work on her different Claras, and especially for the aggressive and strong ones, because she's very soft and very kind in life.
You certainly have had some incredible actors. I mean, the two of them are stunning. And she's very young. I mean, I can't imagine, was she like 19? I mean, how did you find her, and how was it working with somebody like that? Is it her first major film?
First major part in a film, but she, funnily, her previous and first film was a thriller about a serial killer, and Aldo, the doctor, plays the serial killer, and she's one of his victims as a hitchhiker girl, and he strangles her and rapes her dead body. Imagine that. The film is called Strangled, and it's not a bad movie. It's about the one and only serial killer, official serial killer in the communist Hungary. So imagine communist police with a pervert like this. And it's a true story.
Well, we'll have to look into that. That's amazing. Just that they'd worked together before.
Yeah, and despite this horrible scene, they have a good memory of the shooting, both of them. But her parents were there, the psychologists were there, so it was like, for him it must have been 10 times more difficult, I guess for her. So they were like friends, and the casting, when they first met for my movie, they were like, oh Korchi, oh Abigail, hi, how are you? So I thought like, okay, they already know each other, they're kind of friends, that's a good start. But I chose them separately.
Okay.
And I chose Clara after having seen about 100 other teenagers. With some of them, I went to 2 or 3 meetings, but at the end, you know, her face convinced me. I mean, her eyes and her face, just so photogenic. So she's, and she was the fastest progressing performance, because even you can see, we left all the hardest scenes by the end of the shooting, like for the photo album scene, and the hardest ones, and they just got better and better after every day.
And can you tell us, when was it shot and how long did it take you to film it?
It's just 19 days, which is like almost impossible to do.
No, 19?
Yes. So it was like a soap opera.
Did you have a good amount of rehearsal time before that then?
Yes, a lot. I mean, I had to rehearse a lot before. So they all knew all the scenes by heart. It could have been as a theater play.
Right.
So we knew everything, yes. So the shooting, we just, you know, focused on the technical aspect.
And because she goes through such a crazy age, you know, shifts throughout there, did you shoot chronologically with the script?
No, you can never shoot a film chronologically for economical reasons. You have to shoot by location, and that's it. So yeah, there were days like we started with the ending of the movie, and then at noon we shot the beginning, and at night the middle. So the beauty team, we call the hair, makeup, and costume together, we call beauty team. And you know, they had to be really ready to change her body and her face and her hair in 30 minutes, twice a day.
And where was it shot? I was actually very curious, because it's the art direction is really beautiful. Like, it looks like it is. I don't know how films are really shot, but do you have a soundstage? How do you make it look like 1948?
We couldn't afford the soundstage, which is awfully expensive per day, but very comfortable to work in. So we kind of changed things in a real apartment or a real flat in an ancient villa. So some rooms we just, because the villa is kind of, abandoned. So they can let in often film crews to shoot because you can change the walls, but there is still real windows and real doors and real floor. You can paint, you can change the painting. So we kind of did all the apartments, Olgi's, Aldo's, and Selman, the doctor, the other doctor with the piano, in one big villa, and changed the rooms like this. And the exteriors are Budapest, but it's also then again very, very hard to shoot any kind of streets because they are just so different now, and you have to use CGI to change buildings and the ceiling, or not the ceiling, but how you call because there is this squared stone streets. How
you mean like paved streets? Or
paved, yes.
Yeah.
We have maybe 2 paved streets left.
Right.
Cobblestones.
Cobblestones.
Cobble.
Yes.
Okay. So you have 1 or 2 left in the whole Budapest. So
I wanted to ask, we have a question here that I was meaning to get back to. So we have somebody here named Max, who is a Hungarian speaker himself, and noticed that there is a lot lost in the simplified English subtitles. What do you think is the most missed aspect of your film related to the Hungarian language spoken in it?
First to start with her name, because Sunny, it just sounds like Shuni, as he says, Shuni, and Shuni means hedgehog. So he calls her hedgehog and not Sunny. But if you say hedgehog in English, it sounds so weird. It's like, I understand why the translator didn't change. So it's like, it's already starting with the name. And well, cultural things like names of some food and cakes probably, or cultural references, that what they watch or what they listen to on the radio or what they read. I like to add layers of the era.
Right. Can I ask, what is this fake lemon thing? They put it in the tea?
Yeah, citronpótló. Yeah, it's a chemical. I guess it's, well, I don't know what that is exactly. I guess some drops of acid, something yellow liquid.
I thought it might be something very specific.
No, I think it's powder. You see, you got me there. I don't know what it's look like. Maybe it's white powder. Maybe Max can tell me. I don't know.
Let's see. Yes, white powder, says Max.
Okay.
Somebody says, what is CGI? That's essentially computer generated graphics. Yes, to change things on the computer after the fact. You are not Jewish yourself. And I don't want to throw a big Jewish wrench into this, but what I read about what's happening in Hungary today is a little bit disturbing for the Jewish population there. I know that your leader now has been giving some problematic speeches, and it's worrying. I don't know. I don't keep up enough with European politics and things like that. But as somebody who is not Jewish, I don't know if you've worked on Jewish projects before, but have you gotten any feedback, or do you feel like there's any sort of talk about the choice of having done a film with a strong Jewish subject matter, and how you feel Jewish issues are being related to right now in Hungary in light of this film that you've worked so hard on and done such an amazing job about?
Thank you. Well, I don't think Orban would be anti-Semitic, not even under how you call it? I mean, I truly think he's not, but he's able to use in his speeches things that are playing with fire. He would never openly say anything badly, but he each time talks about Soros, George Soros, which we call Soros. And he's a Jewish origin, he's Hungarian. So when you criticize Soros, it's easy to take it as like criticizing a Jewish person. And even if he doesn't, in the Hungarians, simple people's mind, Soros Jewish. Okay, again, the big conspiracy about Israel wanting to lead the world in 5 years. you know all these typically things, which is everywhere in Europe, but in some countries they don't talk about. Not even in Hungary they talk about. There are not even signs of anti-Semitism. Like in Germany or France, you get in the Israel cemetery, you get sometimes broken stones or graffitis. In Hungary, never. But it can change because of always this Soros thing, Soros all the time. That's their number one enemy. It's so stupid. It's propaganda. Oh, sorry. You are muted. Yeah.
Let me see if we have any other questions here. Did you learn anything personally about Judaism that you didn't know before? Like, what did you learn about the history before you started this project, knowing that you didn't choose it because it was a Jewish story necessarily?
Yes.
Being Hungarian and learning about what it was for Hungarian Jews specifically.
I did some research and I was reading a lot, not especially about Judaism or Jewish culture, but about the era. And the biggest help for me was the production designer, Laszlo Rajk. He's a genius. Unfortunately, he passed away last year, but he's the one behind Son of Saul and the films of Béla Tarr. So he's the number one in Hungary about production design. And he's not Jewish either, but his knowledge is, like he was the one, to use I already forgot the name, but you put on the entrance, that metal thing. Mezuzah, yeah, to use this. So he got one and we put in the entrances. I wouldn't have find out. Or at the last scene when they are together at the birthday, originally it was a marriage or a wedding for I don't even remember if it was Aldo's or Clara's. It was my invention. It's not in the book, but it was a bad idea. So we left it for birthday. But we kept that bread on the table still as a memory of that scene, like it's on the middle. So I don't know how you call it. We say kalács.
A challah? A challah bread?
Yeah, probably. So like things like this. But as I said, neither Clara or Aldo was a practicing, so I didn't have to dig in deep that in Judaism. So
we have a question here and I don't know that you're the expert to ask this, but because the film is about the Holocaust, do you know how the Holocaust is commemorated in Hungary today? Does the collective memory acknowledge Hungary's complicity in the Holocaust, or does it place sole responsibility on the Nazis to emphasize?
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. Yes, I understand the question. Yes. No, it's not. We didn't face it really well. I mean, we didn't look in the mirror enough, longly and deep enough. And by this, I mean that we still blame too much the Germans about what happened, and only the Germans, and not the Hungarian Nazis or the Hungarian passive population. So yeah, there is this big monument on Liberty Square, which is where the embassy of the United States is. It's downtown. There is this big memorandum of Hungarian Nazi eagle flying on the back or the shoulder of the Hungarian Gabriel Angel or something like that, which is completely fake because we were the last allies of Hitler. And on the summer of 1944, the best exporter of Jewish bodies in the camps. 600,000 victims in 3 months. So, we kind of stuck the chimneys of Auschwitz. They had to build a new one because they couldn't deal with so much Hungarian transports or the amount. So, yes, we say it was the Germans, but it was not. So I think that's a problem, but I don't think the Holocaust and the memory would be underrepresented or pushed down or hidden away in general. We have a memorandum, the National Memorial Day. We have marches. We have beautiful statues. I think the most touching in the whole world is those metal shoes of children and elder people on the river bank of the Danube, where they just shot. When they were emptying the ghettos, they were just shot into the river, masses, children, and yes, and women, because the men were already taken into hard work camps. So, and it's in the middle, and it's the most visited thing in Budapest. It's always crowded there. So you can make films about it, literature. We have the Nobel Prize for this topic. So we talk about it, but we blame the Germans.
Right. I'm going to ask everybody, if you have any final questions, please type them. I did want to ask you, first of all, Barnabás, thank you so much. It was wonderful having you here, but would you like to tell us a little bit about any of your current projects or future projects? We'd love to know a little bit more about your work and anything that you have forthcoming that we might be able to see.
Hopefully, yes. I'm working on a project quite intensely. I'm shooting it in April, and it's a story about the 56 revolution. So it's like just a sequel of my previous story, which ends in 53. My next opens in 56, and it's on a train full of refugees, and it's a psycho thriller. So it's much more action in it and much more brain work than emotions. So it will be different, but I think it's very exciting. And there is a little, not as much as now, but a little Jewish content in it. So who knows, maybe in your edition of 2024 or something like this, we'll see each other again.
What is it called?
I don't have a title yet. It's based on chess novella by Stefan Zweig, but it won't be chess novella for a film, so I don't know.
Okay. And let's see, where did you, a quick question about you. Where did you grow up?
In Budapest. I was born in Strasbourg, France, because my father was teaching there Hungarian for 4 years. But then I came back when I was 2, so I lived my whole life in Budapest.
And you studied filmmaking in Budapest as well?
First business, like foreign trade. I don't know why. And then film directing and producing, yes.
Oh, and Max wants to know what district you grew up in.
Újpest, 4th district, Újpest. It's like a little village in a big town. It's suburban.
Okay.
It's a strong football team.
Strong football team. And he says, Shep? I don't know. I can't really understand this word, but wonderful. I just wanted to...
Chepe, probably.
I wanted to thank you again for joining us. I have to say, this is one of the most moving films that I've seen in a long time. And I think that your storytelling, your way to tell a story and the subtlety and the quiet in that, and not to overwhelm with details is really moving and very well appreciated. And I think you told the story in a beautiful way. So thank you so much for being with us today and giving us your time. Is there anything else you would like to leave us with before we sign off?
Not really. There is just one last question from Niels at the very last moment, and I was just...
Yes, here we go.
I'm sorry to take it if it's too long.
If you were to make another Holocaust film, one that depicts the complicity of the Hungarian fascists.
Sorry about speaking at the same time. Yes, actually, I was offered the part because we have our own Schindler, and I'm happy to talk about finally a good Hungarian. So we have our own Schindler who saved. It's a soldier, not Jewish, Christian, soldier of the Horthy army, which is like semi-fascist army in the 30s, and he was hiding over 2,000 Jewish persons, making it look like a sewing company or something like this. And he refused to let the Nazis in, and he was risking his own life. And he died in the 60s in the United States, completely forgotten as a poor night keeper at the building area. So, it's a very tragic, sad story, but he was happy about it. I mean, he didn't want to become a hero, but he was not like Schindler, like acknowledged and celebrated at all. He saved like 3,000 Jewish persons. Yeah. He was Yad Vashem after his death, posthumous Yad Vashem person. So
what was his name?
His name is László Ócskai. László Ócskai. So there is a script about it, and I told myself that I didn't want to make it because we have already Schindler's List, and it's the same story. Okay, he's Hungarian, but how would I dare making a movie about something so similar after Spielberg? So, but someone else will make it. Someone else will do it. Yes. Hopefully it will be true and right about the Hungarian fascists.
Oh, and Max has typed it there. Is that the correct spelling? Laszlo?
Exactly, that's it. Great. Yes.
Well, Barna and everybody here from the Sonoma County Jewish Film Festival, thank you all for joining us. And thank you, Barna. Ellen Bluestein is here, our executive director. I'm Irene Hodes. Thank you for joining us. And we really thank you for all of your support during this pandemic, joining us for watching and creating art online and supporting artists online while we're at home. So thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And thank you again, everybody.
Köszönöm. Good night. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.